Hello, folks. We're back again, another weekly, and I thank you for joining us again. I have a number of different items to go through. At the top of it, though, I'm going to give you a dollar amount, $19.21. You're wondering the relevance of that number. Although small, I want you to appreciate what I'm trying to expose, I guess the best way to put it. $19.21 is the amount that I will be burning of Luna Classic, as in I'll be sending that amount directly over to the burn wallet at the conclusion of this, and I will continue doing this every week as part of the Lunk Challenge. And again, you're wondering, well, that's a small amount of money. I have stats that describe exactly what it is that I'm talking about with the Luna Classic Challenge that I created, and I am the first starter of it, and so far the only one to do it. When I say expose, here's what I'm talking about. If you're new, haven't heard this before, the Lunk Challenge is something I created inspired by a commenter on Believes' channel who asked the question about burns. He asked the question about the influencers. He asked the question about community and who's really about it and who's not. And that inspired me. And I took what they were asking and I turned it into a challenge, self-imposed challenge, to kind of show, number one, is it true that certain, because I'm not really an influencer, I'm not really a YouTuber, I'm a podcaster that happens to have a YouTube channel. Leicester Live is an extension of the podcast, essentially for video that mostly airs weekly, but every now and then I'll do a video. But because I'm not really an influencer and don't really have any influence, I said, well, I'll just go ahead and do this and let's see who's really about it. Let's expose the business a little bit. So every week, I tally up what was the stats for the weekly that I did. I take that and I turn that into a number that is a dollar amount using this calculation strategy over here. So chat messages, that contributes to it. Video comments contributes to it. Views, and then average watch time, which is it tallies how long people were watching, the length of the video, and that then contributes to a dollar amount. $19.21 is what I came up with, mostly around arguably the average watch time in my case, because I didn't have any comments or chat messages, which is fine. And the reason I'm not worried about the fact that it's small, a dollar amount, is because it's designed to expose. It's designed to expose the business, because if I'm the only one that's actively contributing of any profits I may or may not make, and the YouTube channel is not profit driven for me. That's why there's no extra condition tied to it like, subscribe, hit notifies, do. There's nothing else other than just be here. That's really what this says. Be here. That's all you really have to do. And the more that are here, the more that I'll burn. Well, I don't really profit. The only one that really drives stats on this business here, watch time certainly does, but not to a significant degree. It's comments, video comments, chat messages. Video comments, I put it 50% because, I could get a back and forth, right? Chat messages certainly does because that's live interaction. So when YouTube does this algo, it calculates, okay, how hot is this video? That's really what it's doing. No problem. But I didn't want to tie it to, again, like, subscribe, follow. No, it's fine. Just be here. And then we'll go from there and see if the number goes up. That's test number one. Does it increase engagement by me doing this? By me showing that I'm contributing to the burn as a community member, does it increase engagement, number one. Number two, it exposes the business because, again, I'm a small player. I don't have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. So for those that do, are they willing to put their money where their mouth is and burn just this much on theirs? Because let's take views, right? Many of them have thousands of views. Are we saying they're not willing to give a couple $100 out of the thousands they probably make per month to show that they're really true to it as a community member? That's what the Lunk Challenge was designed to do in concept. So $19.21 for the very first time I'm doing this. $19.21 will go worth of Luna Classic will come from me burned. Next week, I just built out the wallet to start this process. I'm going to put up that address so you can watch it on the blockchain if you care to. I do encourage for those that are interested in that, so you can watch all the different burns that are coming from Leicester, found at cryptotalkradio.net. Being a contributing community member for Luna Classic as just a burn. I'll just burn. That's fine, just for people being here, and see if it increases engagement. So we'll have some fun with it. So that's my top level announcement. That is going to be a thing. And I'm excited to kick that off because I still think that Luna Classic has long potential. I think that it's one that's going to recover. I think when it recovers, it will be a strong comeback story, the likes of which we've never seen, because it's not like some of these other garbage tokens, right? This is a top tier token. This is not just a regular, a SHIB or any other garbage. This is a top tier token. It's a layer token. So you take a layer token, it's like, well, geez, that's amazing if it can recover. And I'm optimistic, and I'm cheering them on, strongly cheering them on. Now let's get to some more big news, because Luna Classic itself, of course, has been wavering, and people are wondering, well, is something wrong with this thing? And I'm going to say it again, as I say on every episode, there's nothing actually wrong with Luna Classic. What you're seeing is a transition period. Some people refer to it as capitulation. Whether it is or not, I don't think that necessarily matters. I think that it's more important that you understand we are in kind of this middling period across cryptocurrency that's going to lend itself to a stronger out in the future. You're like, there's always a misconception that you should always have green. It should always go up and up. That's not healthy. It's not good. We don't want that. It's not good. It should never do that. You should never have nothing but constant growth, because if you have nothing but constant growth, what you're doing is the higher it goes, the worse it crashes. People don't realize that, but it's the truth. If you go too dang high, it's going to crash harder the higher it goes. It's kind of a gravity concept, but it does apply in this situation. And so you want to be careful and mindful anytime that we're hoping or wishing for whatever to just to the moon, doot, because of the crash that happens. What's happened is that people have been conditioned to believe that we should gamble off the crash. That's fine if that's what they want to do. It's not what I want to do. What I'd rather do is just simply watch graphs, as I've got Luna Classic's graph here as a great example. Watch the graphs and attempt to predict movement of the graphs. So here, there's one immediate story that comes to mind when I look at the graph, and that is Luna Classic has not gone back down to its lowest point. Its lowest point's down here. It's not gone down to that degree. To me, that means it's not cracked. It's not crashed to a significant degree. It's actually kind of in a sideways. It had its pump that came off people kind of FOMOing in. And ever since, it's kind of been going in this sideways motion. And if I look at kind of the spread here, there's a pretty healthy blend of buys and sells. To me, this is normal. It's natural. It's expected. It's what I want to see. It tells me that the interest has not waned. We're sitting at roughly 65 billion in volume. That's half where it was. Doesn't concern me necessarily, because at the end of the day, I know that it's primed to go back up. If I look at the lines, it tells me it's primed to go back up. How long will that take? Nobody knows. We also have to look at how the burn plays into what that price movement's going to be, which nobody can really tell you in the short term. There have been some people on YouTube who have tried to predict this graph and they failed. Not because they didn't have the fundamentals, but because there are variables that get in the way. The burn is a variable. Repegging is a variable. Social sentiment is a variable. The president going up saying a thing is a variable. Gary Gensler is a variable. Nancy Pelosi is a variable. Coming up on November, we just had former President Trump out there in Nevada doing his rally. That's a variable, because I like the dollar. So you got all these variables getting away. You can predict the graph all you care to, and I can look at what they say and say, I see the same thing, but these variables always getting away. That's why I don't do the graph analysis like they do, because I know that it's only one factor of many. I'd rather look at the sentiment side. I'd rather look at all the other side things that I know could affect it and why, because we've seen it happen before. So my approach has always been around sentiment, general sentiment in the industry, in the business, overall, what's all happening that could derail what we expect to happen with this business, any of these, and use that as a model for where I suspect it'll go. So far, I've only gotten one wrong, and that was parabolic. I don't know what the heck happened there, but it's the only one I've gotten wrong so far. I think that's pretty dang good. So my summary thought for you is to consider Luna Classic, I think, is in a good spot because, again, it has not crashed down to that base point. It's actually in a pretty good spot from what I can tell. it's trading pretty healthily sideways, stronger than other tokens, I think, in what I see. And it's held and weathered the storm very well. We don't see excessive levels of sells like some of the garbage tokens that are out there. Nomics just released a statement the other day that said, roughly 12,000 cryptocurrency projects stopped trading. That's huge. If you've listened to me for any period of time, you would have heard me roughly at about the second quarter predict that would happen, that the bear period was going to flesh out the garbage. That's what we're talking. Anybody who stopped trading was garbage. From the earn hubs of the world to anything else, they were garbage and they were never going to sustain because they were never built for bear periods. They build for the bull and they cheat a little bit. They pair their token to a liquidity, a coin, say Ethereum, BNB, whatever. They pair to this and they were riding it. It's almost like they jumped on, like Back to the Future, right? Marty and his skateboard, and they hook on the back of the truck so they can get. That's what they were doing. They were riding off the back of Ethereum's unrealistic rise and BNB's unrealistic rise. They were just riding along. It wasn't that their token really did anything of any substantial value. And that's why we saw so many tokens that spun up on BNB and just immediately dumped because they were just basically garbage to begin with. And we're seeing less tokens we're seeing garbage, certainly, but we're seeing less of the frequency of garbage, I guess is the best way to put it. Less of the emus are spinning up. They're still there, like VINU, which I haven't looked at because it looks like garbage to me. We're seeing those, sure, but there's less, certainly nowhere near what we saw in 2021. And I think that's a good thing. And with Luna Classic kind of in the front as effectively a mean level in terms of pricing, it means that it's accessible. People can buy into it. And there's a chance that it could give you life-changing money even now. Some people have already made life-changing money. It still has the opportunity for life-changing money, in my opinion anyway. And I think that's nothing but a good thing. And I want to watch and see where this all goes because I'm watching it anxiously myself, not only as an investor, but also I've done a distribution, and I'll talk about this on the weekly about the triad. I'll talk about one thing I did for the triad members because I believe in it so fervently. I wanted them to somehow benefit if this thing takes off, because there's no reason why I can't, spread some of that wealth. So I'll talk about that at the later part of the episode here. If you didn't hear, the Binance Smart Chain experienced a pretty bad hack, and the numbers were, I don't want to say misrepresented. That's not true. They changed. So initially it was one thing, and then they shifted it, and now it's something else. But ultimately, the chain itself, the Binance Smart Chain, had this hack happen. They claimed it was over $570 million worth of BNB that was taken out. The number now has been recalibrated. It's roughly around 100 million, still BNB, but now that's a little bit more reasonable, right? We wouldn't want to see, 500 some odd. So they level set the number. So we're back to a reasonable number. It's still a hack. Here's the summary of what happened. There's two on the Binance side. There's two chains. There's what they call the beacon chain, which is BEP2. If you ever look at any coin, and then there's BEP2O, which is the Binance Smart Chain. The BEP2 has been looked at as kind of the legacy chain, quote unquote, and then the Binance Smart Chain is the current chain. They built a bridge to where you can bridge tokens from BEP2 to Binance Smart Chain when they spun up the Binance Smart Chain so you could keep your tokens, because they're basically parallel in terms of the token side, but they had to build a bridge to get across this business. Recently, they did an update on the beacon side, and the hack hit the bridge. And so the bridge is where they were able to drain out of it. If you've heard me, bridges always seem to be a vector for attack. It seems like it's always where they go is where there's a bridge. It's an easy out, for whatever reason, for hackers to take money. I made a statement, and I don't care who disagrees. It's just a speculative statement. As a former auditor, I'm talking financial auditor, not just crypto auditor I am now. In the past, I was a financial auditor. My opinion, the nature of the attack, the timing of the attack, the vector of the attack, the scale and scope, I'm leaning towards an inside. Might it not have been an inside? Might not have been. I'm leaning towards an inside. I'm leaning towards somebody that had enough information about these changes, and they just duly noted everything they needed to do to eventually breach this business. I could get it wrong, but that's my theory on exactly what happened. Well, this actually halted the chain. So they initially halted the Binance Smart Chain. Of course, that affects all the Binance Smart Chain based tokens. They backed off that. Now they've basically halted transactions between BEP2, the Beacon Chain, and the Binance Smart Chain. But the regular Binance Smart Chain is actually processing transactions. It seems like it's fine. And they found some wallets that they were able to blacklist to stop. That's why the number recalibrated to stop it. Here's what's impressive. Although it was a significant hack, even with just $100 million, although it was significant, the price of BNB didn't crap. Now, if you compare what happened here with Binance against frickin' Solana, which crashes all the frickin' time, Solana got over 300 some odd, pretty sure 280, 300 some odd, crap down to 30, 40, 50, has never recovered, keeps crapping, but its price took a big hit. Binance didn't take anywhere near that level of a hit. There's a couple things. There's more confidence, even though the Binance Smart Chain tokens lend themselves to scams more frequently than anything else, even though it still has more confidence in it because this level of hack is rare for Binance. It's not something you commonly see, certainly not to this scale. Whereas for Solana, it's more rare to see it stable than to see it crash or, have a hack. So I think investor confidence and sentiment is positive for it, even though this happened, where people feel more confident, yes, it happened. We trust that you got our best interest and you're going to keep us safe. There's multiple players in keeping safe. There's the validators. They have a part to play because if they know that the transaction is illicit, ILLICIT, they have to get involved and blockade it. There's the DApp side. If they know that a transaction is presumed to be illicit or based on illicit money, they should block. They can. Well, here's my tinfoil statement I'm about to say. Although I just praised everything Binance, and they duly deserve that, I'm going to tinfoil this. Everything I just described means we truly don't have descent. And I'll say it again, and I don't care who disagrees. The fact that they could intercept and stop and filter and block and get involved means we don't really have true descent. And perhaps we don't want true descent, because if you had true descent, it would have been the $570 million with nothing to stop it in true descent. The fact that there are these points along the way where something can be intercepted or stopped or blocked or somehow filtered out, that means we don't have true descent. And my challenge to anybody listening to me, consider whether we want true descent or not. Consider the two levels, 100 million, 570 million. And just really think about it. The mantra of decentralization sounds good until you realize the level of breach that can happen, the level of risk that you can incur when you go all in. And the people who are touting that true descent narrative are likely the ones who understand, yeah, man, I could really get that money deep. That's just me, and you can call me a tinfoil all you care to. And that is perfectly your right to do so. I'm calling out an observation because it's my show, and I can do that. VoidCash. I covered VoidCash a while ago on the YouTube channel, and I've been disappointed in VoidCash. I was disappointed when they launched. I've been disappointed ever since. I don't know. This is a person, whoever's behind this, by the way, is not new. They're not a new person. They've been around cryptocurrency for a while. And I know this because of data they left behind, data trails. There's not a lot of people in VoidCash. It has a very strong community. However, they've made some mistakes. So they launched a little while ago, fresh off the heels of Tornado Cash and what happened to Tornado Cash, and said, we can do this and we'll do it right. And we're going to spin it up. And we want you to join us on our magic journey so that we can do what they failed to do, right? So if you notice, it says join July of 2009. Well, this was somebody existing that just changed their account over, built this thing up, and said, we can do this better. They launched the token. It doesn't have any holders. It only has shortly over 190 holders or 200 holders. It's not a lot of holders. So they're not going excessive shill or hype or any of that stuff, to their credit. But their messaging has been crap, frankly. Their social media management sucks, frankly. They spun up a Discord that's good, but it's kind of after the fact. All of a sudden, I log in one day and to look at what I got, because I have a little bit of VoidCash because I was watching it, because I always invest when I'm watching initial price movement for a launch to see if it's going to crap out or not. And I see that my price is going down for it. My value is going down, and I'm just curious, right? So I check CoinMarketCap. And I see in CoinMarketCap, somebody says, hey, you better, your migration, like, what migration? I didn't hear about this migration. What are you talking about? Turns out, back on the 1st, I think it's the 3rd of October, so just under a week ago, they had sent out this message. not this one, but a variation of this message saying, we're going to migrate to V2. And there's a medium that tells, okay, we're migrating to V2. It doesn't tell you really why, other than some exchanges didn't like some of our mechanics. So we're doing it to get ahead of exchange listing, even though we don't plan to get on exchanges. That concerns me because it's the same thing that tanked Paratoken, aka Paraworks, where they react because the exchanges want a damn thing. Fine. It's new, it's early, there's not a lot of holders, there's not a lot of disruption. So I saw this after the fact. So I'm like, okay, well, I go to the medium. There's no link to the freaking migration thing. Okay, so how are people supposed to know? It's not on the website. It's not on the medium. Nowhere do I see the new token address. Do I see the migration tool? None of that's there. So they, again, assume you're going to telescam, which I'm not doing. And I didn't see it on Twitter because, unfortunately, everything else, gets lost in Twitter because Twitter's garbage. Okay, so I start doing some digging. I come across this guy. And he says, okay, you got 2 days remaining to get do. And I go to the link here and I see the little ticker and it's telling me there's 58 minutes left. Okay, so I just got another threshold. So what we're saying is we gave people a week to migrate tokens. We didn't adequately communicate. And I know they didn't because it wasn't on their main website and it wasn't on the medium that announced the freaking thing. Okay, and then we only give a week. And then what happens if they miss it? Okay. They have staking and other things. The staking is apparently automated. The staking is we'll automatically move the stuff. You don't have to worry about it. But for the migration, no, we'll force you to go to a thing. And if you miss it, screw you. This is what told me whoever this is, it's like they're just, I can't even say going through the motions. It's like they're rookies. I don't want to say that, but it feels like they're rookies. It feels like they don't know what the heck they're doing with this. Because if you're making these kind of screw ups this early, like this thing just freaking launched. It wasn't that long ago. And they're already making the mistakes of Paratoken to the point I thought it might have been the Paratoken, that idiot that he was behind this business, because they're doing the same thing where it's like, you don't understand. Why are you in a V2 already? Why didn't you think about this when you launched the freaking token up front? That there are these things that are going to be concerns. You reach out to the exchanges, you understand what they're going to want, and then you build your contract according to what those exchanges are going to want, instead of after the fact. Like, come on, this is clown show. Cult DAOs on the freaking exchanges, 8-coin garbage is on. So they were able to do something that you couldn't. So now I'm critical and I'm curious and I'm concerned, but I figured I would take this weekly because there could be somebody out there that saw my coverage and bought in or was curious and following it. And I want to let them know they're on a V2 now. So if you bought in, it's too late for you. Your money's gone. And I'm sorry because even I didn't know because it went under the radar. If you haven't bought in, you were considering buying in, I don't know that they changed everything over as far as the contract addresses on the site, because it looks like they don't keep their site up to date. But I am warning away right now from VoidCash, only because it feels like it's like clown show. They're just not thinking about everything they need to think about, and I don't know why that is. For now, I am recommending, if you're not in it, I would hold off till they get their freaking act together. If you're going to go in it because you're a gambler, I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm just saying it strikes me that they are struggling to keep up with all the different things that they claimed that they could do and what they were going to be doing, etc. So whatever. Lilly Finance. Lilly Finance has been going on a bit of a run, if you haven't noticed, and people are curious. Some, I shouldn't say all, because some people think Lilly Finance is a scam. Here's the thing. I am going to talk about Lilly Finance. I did coverage on Lilly Finance on both the podcast at cryptotalkradio.net as well as on our YouTube channel. And there were just, all I was doing was clearing up misconceptions that were stated by different people at the time. Here's the thing. If you don't know Lilly Finance, Lilly Finance was started, there's a guy and his kid had this really bad illness and he struggled finding aid for her, which inspired him to then spin up a service to make it easier for other kids to get the aid without having to struggle like he did. This was misrepresented. His ex-wife or whatever came out and talked to somebody and claimed, he's taking people's money and our daughter's fine and she doesn't need this and he's scamming people and this and that and the other. There was nothing in any document. I looked at the whole site. I looked at the white paper. I looked at every news article. I looked everywhere, every interview. He never said, I'm getting this money for my kid. He said, because whoever called her told her, hey, is your kid sick or whatever? They asked the wrong question. They asked a leading question. He never said, I'm doing this for my kid. He said, my kid went through this and I was inspired to create this so other kids don't have the same problem. My kid is fine. There's actually 3 sources that say, my kid's fine, but I don't want other kids to have to struggle to get aid. This was inspiring to me, at least, to watch it. So I've always watched Lilly Finance, and I had a small amount sitting in a wallet just to watch its price movement. To date, there's nothing they have done that has been, sketchy or anything. People are reacting then to the graph, and the graph does have indeed significant periods of crap out because of the way they launched. They launched this business screwed up because initially they were partnered with Saitama, and the cult leader helped fund Lilly getting off the ground. And they had this kind of silent thing. Cult leader was going to be on the board and all this other stuff that really shouldn't happen. Cytomass was delayed because of the failed November 13th and all the fiasco. Lilly Finance was going to be the spotlight of that whole thing. So then because that didn't work and it was jacked up because the Saitama team was incompetent, Lilly said, look, we can't wait anymore. We got to go live with this. So they launched themselves. They launched it wrong because they had people who were able to get access to the tokens early and then dump. That's what you're seeing here, dump off of it before they're able to get in. So whoever then was trying to buy and sell couldn't do because of they locked the contract. They blocked it to try to get ahead of this. Del Rugpool, aka Del Crypto, was suspected to be one of those people that was involved because he was the one that was shilling Lilly Finance at the time. So it has not recovered. It's been way down because it's been harmed by that first pump and dump business. Also, it's been harmed by sentiment to some degree, and it's been harmed by the fact that volume tapered, significantly tapered. Later, they started announcing, yes, we had some successful surgeries, we had some things happen. Recently, they gave an announcement that said, hey, look, we got a patent that's pending on our technology for this business. Notice what it talks about. It talks about the technology for Lillian, but Lilly Finance, the blockchain technology, and filing for a patent. Filing for a patent is a big thing because filing for a patent means ultimately we own what we create, what we're doing here. We own the rights to, and nobody else can do, which gives you an advantage in that space. So if somebody else spins up and tries to do it, you have a tactical advantage. Now, I challenge people to think about, did Saitama ever think to create a patent for anything that they did? I didn't see it if they did. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying I didn't see it if they did. Creating a patent first before you get the competition seems brilliant to me. I certainly didn't see Seifu try to create a patent for the so-called blockchain. They're going to create either. This plus they had filed for the state and federal 501c condition, which basically, I believe that's nonprofit, but basically 501c filing state and federal gave them now all these different advantages that told people they were serious, which then contributed to this run-up that we saw. And it was a pretty significant run-up from the base that it was at. If you notice, it dropped like roughly 2 zeros off. So people are now wondering, well, what the heck's going on? All that's happening, all that's really happening is that Lilly Finance is making announcements that appear to show that they are making progress in what it was that they said that they were going to do. And it appears that they have more eyes back on the product. And it appears that they're regenerating on the volume numbers that they lost. Because the volume was way down. It was like, I want to say like 1,000 at a point. It was low. Yeah, there you go, 1,000. So now we're back up to roughly 100,000, close to 100,000, which is pretty good. People then express concerns. Well, yeah, but there's still a whole bunch of whale bags that are dumping off of it. Yes, there are. And there's going to be. That's what they're supposed to do, right? Is they're supposed to take profits. Here's why I think it's stupid. Whoever's dumping here, if these people did not buy in back here sometime, they're stupid. Because while they made profit, they probably didn't make hardly anything at all. And if I were them, I would have just sat on this business because it didn't make any sense to do that. There are theories that this is the same group of people that were from the first that are just basically creating this where they'll buy in artificial pump and then they sell off. That is possible. It is entirely possible and plausible. I'm saying that the timing of these announcements, the 501cs and the patent pending, correlates very closely to positive price trends. And the liquidity appears to be in a decently good position given the dump off that happened. And it looks like that they are positioning for some level of success. We don't know how far that success will go. Time's going to need to tell. And I'm not in a position to say yay or nay, but I'm watching it, as I always have done, Because I'm simply saying, at no point did the guy say, I'm doing this for my kid. He said, I'm doing this to try to make sure other kids don't have the problem. And it is a real problem that needs to be solved. And it is one outside the bubble. So those, to me, that makes criteria that I believe is worth the watch and worth the listen. The last thing I'll talk about, which isn't really news, but something you should be aware of, and it's around Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin mining has now picked up again. We lost it because energy usage. It's picked up a little bit again, and we're starting to see more embracing of Bitcoin mining. Here's where I believe this comes from. When Ethereum goes to proof of stake, the people who were mining before started looking for a new home. So they go to your Zcashes of the world and this Ethereum POW and all these others because they want to, number one, they want to make use of the hardware that they bought and spent tens of thousands of dollars on. Number two, many of them were running a business off this, which was never sustainable. And with Bitcoin, it's always been out there. Now, here's why I bring this to your attention now. Bitcoin's difficulty. So when you talk mining, the difficulty is ultimately what level of challenge is it going to be to actually mine blocks in this business? Bitcoin's difficulty is sky high. So it's extremely expensive to mine Bitcoin. And really, it's going to be very exclusive players that do. But if you have people who are able to figure it out and get it done to where they're profitable, it means that it primes Bitcoin for another positive bull run in the short. Do I think they can? Sure, because there are certain people out there that just throw money at the problem. I'm saying that if that happens, we're going to see a bull run. And that excites me. It excites me that there are people out there that are getting creative, that they're not just giving up and not just selling for proof of stake. And they're saying we really need a proof of work solution. And Bitcoin is still, to this day, the center of wealth. And I believe that unless Ethereum can get more momentum than it has, Bitcoin will continue to be the center of wealth. And if it's truly the center of wealth and will continue to be, it means that it will be the measure for the next run of cryptocurrency like it was for the last one. And history will repeat itself, which both excites me and disappoints me. It excites me because it means that anybody who's stacking Bitcoin now will make some good money, and that excites me. It disappoints me because it means that we're just going to be right back to the energy usage and all the other garbage that's out there when they complain because they're not getting their way, which is they want everything proof of stake because, as I said, tinfoil. I believe that the idiot Vitalik is being puppet string influenced by the people who are pushing proof of stake so that it takes away people's rights. So I'm saying this is something I think people should watch. Who's going to win out? Will proof of work make a recovery where we start seeing it go on a run again? Because if it is, Bitcoin's the only way really to do it. The other ones are lesser players. They're not going to make significant, like Monero, that they're not going to they're not going to make killings like Bitcoin could do. But it means that we have to invent better hardware to be able to mine those things. What does that look like? I don't know. Like that's why I'm intrigued as a science person myself. I'm fascinated at how are people going to solve the fact that Bitcoin's difficulty is sky high, but they don't seem to want to give up on Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin can recover even though being proof of work, and Ethereum's not able to get the momentum. What happens next? It's intriguing to me. I like it. I'm fascinated by such things. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. I figured I would just slip that in there because to me, I like to see what the heck's going to happen with the business long term anyway. With that said, I'm going to shut up, see if there's any questions, comments in the chat, and check Twitch before I wrap up. And if you're here from Discord, I apologize for not creating the event for the public. I forgot something. No problem. I'll do that now. Cool beans. If you think of something after the fact, feel free to leave us a comment down below. I do check and respond as much as I can. Keep in mind that because of post-chain spammers as well as diehards and various garbage tokens, we do filter and review each one of them before they are posted. But if it's reasonable, I will get it posted and I will respond. Or you can hit us up on Twitter. That's fine as well. Either way. And keep in mind one thing, most important. Always make sure you got a roof over your head. This crypto, I almost cussed. This crypto stuff, don't get hung up. Don't get hung up on this business. Don't get stuck in it. Don't get trapped in it. Don't get trapped by everything you hear. Right? You have to decouple it, because if you don't, if you give too much money on it at the wrong time, thinking, because it is a gamble, let's be honest, I would keep a roof over your head, right? Keep food on your table. Take care of your people first. It's the most important thing, not the crypto. It doesn't matter, especially now, because there's not a lot of significant traffic. We expect there should be, but there's not right now. So take this as an opportunity. Spend time with your family. Do something fun. Get away from it every now and then. That's why I do weekly updates and not the dailies. Like some people do like 3 every day. Not only do I not have the patience, I have to, stay away from crypto. And I don't focus on it as much, until there's something worth talking about that I think is worth your time at least. So for now, I just say, make sure your family's first before you do the crypto thing, and realize this too shall pass and we'll get to a better spot sometime in the future. Take care. See you guys.